All right, welcome back to the show. I'm your host Kyle, and going to be talking about the aptly named Kill, which is a Indian film with very Western styling to it. It's not 3 hours long. It doesn't feature any musical numbers, but it's interesting because of its Indian origins, I believe, because it kind of goes in ways that many Western films wouldn't go. Just jumping straight into the story, it's about the man named Amrit, played by Lakshya. Now, Amrit is a battle-hardened commando of the National Army of India. Now, he's faced off against numerous enemies, and he's always come out on top, but there's one person with the power to bring this man to his knees, and that is the love of his life, the beautiful Tulika, played by Tanya Manikatala. Now, returning from a mission, Amrit is alarmed to get the news that his true love has been engaged to another man against her will. Her rich and powerful father, Baldev Singh Thakur, played by Harsh Chilla, has locked Tulika into a arranged marriage which she cannot escape from. But Amrit is a regular Prince Charming, and he rides in to rescue his princess. He and his fellow soldier Varesh, played by Abhishek Charan, board a train which is carrying the bride and her family to New Delhi on the way to their wedding. But unbeknownst to Amrit, a gang of bandits led by the psychotic and unpredictable Fanny, played by Raghav Juyal, have joined in on the ride, and what begins as a simple robbery turns into a kidnapping when Fanny discovers the identity of Tulika's wealthy father. But these criminals have no idea who they're messing with, and Amrit springs into action. Now, Fanny may have dozens of men, but Amrit isn't trapped on the train with them, they're trapped on board the train with him. Now, while I'm always excited to see the latest, the latest violent Hollywood action spectacle, they've kind of grown a little bit stale recently. The rise in popularity of international offerings, though, like the epic Triple R, shows audiences are they're kind of seeking something different, and that's where this movie Kill delivers, as the filmmaker Nikhil Nagesh Vat brings us a hyper-violent mix of romance and brutality and martial arts. Now, Kill at first may seem familiar in some ways because it's kind of like a cross between Die Hard and John Wick, or I guess more to the point, it's kind of more like Under Siege 2 and John Wick, being that it is set on a train. But what makes the film stand out so much is the ways in which it revels in bucking the trends of action films, which we've come to expect. Early on, there's much more of a focus on the romantic subplot between Amrit and Tulika, which it heightens the sudden explosion of violence which is seen in the film's second half. Now, as well as this, there's many conventions which even the more exotic action films tend to adhere to, but Kill, it really breaks all the rules, and it subverts a lot of expectations with its brutality, its characters, and its story, and the changing in the power dynamics over the course of the film are quite frequent as Amrit turns the tables on his foes. Uh, the gang of violent thieves, they're really a family, and the movie never really forgets to remind us this. In many action films that you see, normally when John Wick or even John Wick, John McClane, any of the action stars, whenever they kill any henchman or whatever, you just the main bad guy just doesn't seem to care. None of the other henchmen seem to really care that their friends are being slaughtered right next to them. But in Kill, the gang, um, the 3 dozen men, I believe it is. It's something like 30 or 40 men on board the train. They're all supposed to be part of this kind of extended family. They're all cousins or brothers or this other character's father or stuff like that. So there's a lot more of a personal connection between the villains than you normally see in action movies such as this. So every slaughtered opponent of Amrit's is met with howls of anguish from their loved ones, almost to such a point that we begin to feel pity on the bad guys for this hell that they've unleashed upon themselves, which is something that uh, I don't think we've ever really seen that in a film with a body count this high before. Now, but if full on intensely violent brawls and action scenes is what you're after, then Kill has this in spades. Um, the talented choreography of Parvev Shaker and Si Young Oh. Uh, so with their choreography, every bone smashing and spine shattering and skull crushing impact is delivered with such gusto. I believe that I believe these two have worked on several other Bollywood films. I believe Si Young Oh was the fight choreographer of the South Korean film Snowpiercer. So, I mean, if you're a fan of that movie, kind of you know what how well choreographed the fight scenes were in that, and yeah, so they're really quite good in this as well. I mean, that's another film where the uh, the the action takes place mostly on a train, and yeah, there's just all these fight scenes in that film, and so it's kind of a little bit similar to this. He's kind of in familiar ground. And so the blood just it flows freely, and everything is used as a weapon, from hammers to knives to fire extinguishers and even toilet seats. So the kills in Kill have the creativity of a slasher movie. I find just everything is so completely over the top, and I think a better title for the movie might actually be Overkill. But all of it is shot really wonderfully by cinematographer Rafi Mahmood. Something that I was actually worried about going into this was that Kill it really makes a feature of the claustrophobic nature of its setting, being the cramped and still crowded passenger carriages of this train. They feel stifling and not really these kind of locations are not the most accommodating place to fight. Have a massive fight scene in. Usually in Hollywood action movies, you kind of know when the characters are about to have a fight because they go into a room and it's kind of there's a lot of space for the characters to have a fight in. But with this movie, it's it's so it's every scene is so tight together and the characters are really on top of each other as they're even before they've actually started fighting. But the film uses these unique camera angles and diverse encounters and just imaginative violence throughout. So it never grows tiresome throughout the runtime. And again, the movie only goes for about 2 hours, which so it never actually gets boring, and yeah, it stays interesting throughout. So I think that Kill is really bound to be the next action cult film classic because I mean I'm really excited to see what is in the future for the careers of both its star Lakshya and the director Nikhil Nagashpat. Um, the movie's already they're already talking about remaking the film because of course they are with doing a an English language remake because that's just what happens now. Hey, this film is kind of interesting. Let's remake it. Um, but I think the film is unique. This movie, it's really unique thanks to its international origins, but it still feels very approachable, even to audiences who may not be fans of other Hindi films. Like I say, it doesn't. When you say like Hindi cinema, it kind of gives you an idea of, oh, this movie must be 3 hours long, or it must have musical numbers, or the pacing of it might be very very different than what you're used to seeing in other Western films. But this one, I think it translates really well to a completely different audience. And it's really a kick-ass mix of it's a simple but compelling story, and as I say, it's a subversion of expectations and just features a lot of ultra violence that make this it makes it a movie that I'm actually really interested to go back and rewatch. And there haven't been a whole lot of movies so far this year that I've felt that way about. So yeah, I'm gonna give this one 4 out of 5. It was a simple movie. It was a very simple movie, but it really it packs a punch. So yeah, go out and go out and see Kill. Not the most imaginative title, but it is a very fitting one for this movie.